Did you know Trump just legalized segregation again? Let me repeat that. Federal contractors can now ban black folks from bathrooms, restaurants, and jobs using your tax dollars. This isn't a history reboot. It's Project 2025's MAGA playbook deleting civil rights. But here's their fatal flaw. Black America controls $1.6 trillion in spending power. We buy Jordans, iPhones, SUVs, yet fund businesses cozy with this Jim Crow 2.0. Target lost $15 billion fighting LGBTQ plus hate. Imagine draining every dime from these segregation enablers.
Well, it's official. Segregation is now back on the table for the American government, and we have Donald Trump to thank for it. You heard me right. Thanks to Donald Trump, segregation is now no longer banned in the federal government. More specifically, government contractors are no longer banned from having segregated restaurants, waiting rooms, and drinking fountains. Yeah, thanks to Donald Trump, now government contractors can have shit like this again. And what was Donald Trump's logic behind this asinine decision? Well, he's tackling DEI, of course. Donald Trump is bringing back segregation in order to supposedly combat DEI. I wish I was making this shit up. I wish I was making up all of the insane shit that Donald Trump says and does. But unfortunately, this is just our fucked up reality now, and until somebody does something about Donald Trump, I'm afraid there won't be an end to the madness anytime soon.
Y'all, what they gonna do? Because, wait, segregation is legal again, right? So that means you don't want me patronizing your business. You don't have to serve me or whatever. I got to go sit in the back. You're going to put me over by the bathroom or whatever the case may be. Or if you decide to book services with me and you see that I'm a black and you're a white person, legally, and that's all I'm going to say is legally, it's now legal for me to, it's now legal for me to refuse service. And I'm not even breaking the law.
We have some big news right now. Segregated facilities are no longer explicitly banned in federal contracts, according to latest NPR reporting. After a recent change by the Trump administration, the federal government no longer explicitly prohibits contractors from having segregated restaurants, waiting rooms, and drinking fountains. According to NPR, this segregation clause is one of several identified in a public memo issued by the GSA last month, affecting all civil federal agencies. Now, according to legal experts, this is a symbolic move, but it is still incredibly meaningful in its symbolism. There are still state and federal laws that outlaw segregation and discrimination that companies across the board need to comply with, and legal experts say that this change to contracts across the federal government is significant nonetheless, because these provisions required federal contractors to adhere to and comply with federal civil rights laws, and well, now they don't have to in this symbolic move. I'll do a full breakdown of whether or not this is legal on my Substack shortly, so be sure to subscribe for free at the link in my bio and follow along for all the news you need to know about.
After a recent change by the Trump administration, the federal government no longer explicitly prohibits contractors from having segregated restaurants, waiting rooms, and drinking fountains. The segregation clause is one of several identified in a public memo issued by the General Services Administration last month, affecting all civil federal agencies. The memo explains that it is making changes prompted by President Trump's executive order on diversity, equity, inclusion, which repealed an executive order signed by President Lyndon B. Johnson in 1965 regarding federal contractors and non discrimination. The memo also addresses Trump's executive order on gender identity. While there are still state and federal laws that outlaw segregation and discrimination that companies need to comply with, legal experts say the changes in contracts across the federal government is significant. It's symbolic, but it's incredibly meaningful in its symbolism, says Melissa Murray, a constitutional law professor at New York University. These provisions that require a federal contractors to adhere and comply with federal civil rights laws and to maintain integrated rather than segregated workplaces were all part of the federal government's efforts to facilitate the settlement that led integration in the 1950s and 60s. The fact that they are now excluding those provisions from the requirements for federal contractors, I think, speaks volume, Murray says. The clause is questioned is in the Federal Acquisition Regulation known as a FAR, a huge document used by agencies to write contracts for anyone providing goods or services to the federal government. Clause 52.222-21 of the FAR is titled Prohibition of Segregated Facilities and reads, the contractor agrees that it does not and will not maintain or provide for its employees any segregated facilities at any of its establishments, and that it does not and will not permit its employees to perform their services at any location under its control where segregated facilities are maintained. It defines segregated facilities as work areas, restaurants, drinking fountains, transportation, housing, and more. And it says you can't segregate based on race, color, religion, sex, sexual orientation, gender, identity, or national origin. Several federal agencies, including the Department of Defense, Commerce, and Homeland Security, have notified staff who oversees federal contracts that they should start instituting these changes. A recent notice from the National Institutes of Health shows that the change is already in effect. The notice regarding a maintenance agreement for scientific freeze dryers cites the GSA memo and reads FAR 52.222-21 prohibition of segregated facilities and FAR 52.222-26 equal opportunity will not be considered when making awarded decisions or enforced requirements. To be clear, all businesses that have government contracts and those that do not still need to follow federal and state laws, including the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which makes segregated facilities illegal. One federal worker who works on contracts says they were shocked when they received notice about the FAR changes from their agency. NPR has agreed not to identify the worker because they fear being fired for speaking to the media without authorization. They said that the process used to institute these changes without a typical public notice or comment period of 45 to 90 days is usually reversed for national emergencies. The way that they are implementing this in a contracting field is essentially subverting democracy. You're supposed to allow agencies to comment on this, contracting officers to comment on it and think through the implications carefully. The worker said by doing this, they're essentially ramming things through, hoping no one's going to notice. The General Services Administration did not answer the NPR's question about why the agency did not follow the usual public notice and comment procedure, or a question about why the segregated facilities clause was removed. In a statement, GSA spokesperson Will Powell wrote, GSA has taken immediate action to fully implement all current executive orders and is committed to taking action to implement any new executive orders. Kara, an attorney at the Willie Law Firm in Washington, D.C., which specializes in federal contracts, speculates that the provision was flagged because it was revised under the Obama administration to include gender identity. That change was made, she says, to implement an Obama era executive order 13672. And that executive order from the Obama administration is one of the ones that President Trump in his second term rescinded. She explains, and so along with Trump's other executive orders about gender identification, I would suspect that is the reason why this one got identified on the list. The memo does not say to exclude just the gender identity part of the clause. However, it says to exclude the whole thing. Murray, the law professor, says racial segregation is not as far away in history as it may seem. She remembers a trip to Washington, D.C. in 1985 when her father, a Jamaican immigrant, took her to Woodward, a, and Lothrop, a department store where he had worked when he'd been a student at Howard University. She thought she had seen a salesman at the store, which closed in 1995. He's like, no, no, no. I only worked in the back because black people weren't allowed to be on the sales floor. She recalls, when it comes to segregation in America, she says it's not far removed at all. Well, there you go, you guys. Trump wants an all white America again. But like these people are saying, fuck around and find out. But hell, what do I know? I'm just a black person in America. Finish watching the video.
Y'all, the ban on segregated facilities in federal contracts has been banned, and guess what? Black people don't care. Wait a minute. Black people do not care. I love my people. Y'all know me. Y'all know I be reading comments. And so a lot of people have posted on this. And look, my throat is not even, my throat is acting up because I've been laughing so hard. Black people been in these comments talking about, and next. Look, you got two type of black people in this situation. You got the black folks who like, good, we ain't want to be with y'all no way. And then the other type of black people you have is, all right, well, go ahead and segregate something. Go ahead and tell me I can't drink from a water fountain. Go ahead and tell me I can't come to your restaurant. And then when I step up in there, what you gonna do? I want to see you do something, right? So all of this is hilarious because this is straight craziness. This is straight foolishness that's going on in these United States of America, and black people do not care. Now, let me rephrase that. It's not that we don't care. It's just that this ain't nothing new to us. We knew y'all didn't like us. We already knew where we stood in these United States of America. And so this stuff is hilarious. Y'all trying to get a rise out of us. It ain't going to happen because we good and we sitting back laughing. And guess what? I'm here for it.
So, segregated facilities are no longer explicitly banned under federal contracts. Now, let's be honest, we all knew that this was coming when we got a bunch of boomers and people who are in that next generation, those old people, yelling out, "Make America great again." And if you ask them when was America great, it would be during the time that we thought America was inhumane and not great. Or when the minority people, so that's Hispanic Americans, that's anyone who has been through this time period, that's Black Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans, anyone who's minority, okay? They would not say America was great during the same time that the old white people are saying, "Make America great again." What's so interesting to me is that it's 2025 and we are going backwards. You mean to tell me if you walk into a government contracted facility or a government facility, the owner or the person who's in charge has the right to make a colored water fountain and a white water fountain in 2025, in the big 2025. So when you are yelling out, "Make America great again," you are quite literally pushing a "Make America racist again" agenda. Because when you ask Donald Trump, who's almost 80 years old, if he's not 80 already, when was America great for him? He would probably tell you when America was great. Actually, he's already said it. And it wasn't during any type of modern times. I implore you to go and ask the average Black American or Hispanic American or Asian American, when was America great for them? And I guarantee you they will say somewhere in between the 2010, 2011, 2015, 2013, 2016. Would probably be before Donald Trump came into office saying, "Make America great again." You'd have your occasional people saying, "Oh, 2019 before COVID America was amazing." But for the most part, people are going to say before 2016 and before. But you got to understand that they're going to start off small like this, and then it's going to rise to where they're going to start saying a lot more things that are either banned or reverted. And it's going to have a lot to do with a bunch of racist things. And so prepare yourself, y'all, because this is just the beginning. It's just the beginning. And those of you who still are going to defend this administration, shame on you, buddy. Shame on you. And this is nothing to do with blue versus red. This has to do with right versus wrong. Because I'm not on the blue side just as much as I'm not on the red side, but you got to call out wrong when it's wrong. I'm not blinded by a political party where I can't say what's right and wrong on both sides. This is very clearly wrong. And I know those of you are going to come into my comment section and say, well, you don't understand what this means. This is actually what it means. This is Y'all going to try to defend this with your lives. And that shows me where your heart is. Okay?
Okay, breaking news, wake it up, because I don't see enough people talking about this. Trump has lifted the segregation ban, y'all. That means that segregation is now legal. Hello, segregation ban law has been lifted by Trump.
Project 2025. Everybody thought it wasn't really going to happen. Now Donald done started some segregation shit up now. My man done brought back the white-only fountains, white-only pies, moved to the back of the bus. My man Donald is up here doing it up for us, for real. I mean, he ain't playing out here. But, any of y'all need some eggs yet? And this is just the beginning. 4 years. He about to get it in for real. Ooh, this is what everybody voted for, I guess. Y'all better put y'all seatbelts on. This is about to be a rough ride this year.
Trumpster dumpster, we don't care what you try to do to us. We know that you're trying to come for us and spark us up and try to get us dysregulated. But you know what? We, as a culture, have come too far. Black people have been too tired and worn out by all this mess, and we're not going back. We don't care what you tried to do with Muskie-Voo, Muskrat, and all that kind of mess. We don't care. And other people don't care because you know what? In the end, we're going to win. We don't care. You think that you're going to win, but you can't fight against right because right will always win. So do it all you want. Keep on trying to plug away at things and do all your little Humpty Dumpty little things. And all the king's horses and men, when you fall, will now be able to put you back together again. So we don't care. Keep on. Because you're going to show you're behind and it's not going to be cute. Bye-bye.
So when everyone heard the name Black Project 2025, what made you immediately want to support that effort? And I'm asking because in the same conversation that we're having about the Breakfast Club and credentials is the same conversation that folks should have been having with regard to Black Project 2025. There are so many activists on this app, off it for sure, but a lot of folks on this app who have done so much work in the space of liberation, healing justice, social justice, movement work. And I feel like a lot of those folks were demonized and berated simply because when it came down to the election, they had a few choice words that were not outside of anything that you would have heard Malcolm X say, or anyone from the Black Panther Party, or folks who were boots on the ground in the civil rights movement. But because it didn't have a certain look and it didn't align with the concept of just showing up to vote every 4 years, a lot of folks didn't want to get behind those people. And those folks weren't even asking for money. They were simply asking you to expand your level of thought. Read, for sure, because there is literature that speaks to the how. And they expressed that when it came to movement work, that there is a long game strategy that has to be at play. One of the reasons being is that because the actual Project 2025 is something that has been decades in the making, under different iterations, under different administrations. But it didn't just show up after inauguration. So now that Black Project 2025 is no longer, what's the next step? And what are folks willing to learn and unlearn to put themselves and our community as a whole in a better situation?
They trying to threaten us with segregation as if our people were better off by ourselves anyway. Whoop-de-doo. Now y'all can't steal our ideas. Please be the catalyst to take over what's rightfully ours. Because anything you can do, you know we can do better. Oh, and let's not forget, Black women are still the most educated demographic in the United States. But to think that all these tactics y'all doing is gonna get us to get out here in March? No. 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 Baby, we gonna pull up to them establishment and they talking about a black here and a white there. We gonna go take our money elsewhere. As if the effects of Target was not a warning. You don't think the economy is gonna be crashing without that good black dollar? Think again. Because believe it or not, we are the race that's spending the majority. So this is still a time for the black people to continue to be level-headed and relaxed. Just imagine them having 4 years of savings. Because at the rate it's going, this is not even gonna last for 4 years. Because while they thinking they're ahead, it's putting them behind. Looking to rage bait us for any reason to get up out in that field, and guess what? We're not going. We're not going. Sit back, yeah, sit back.
So number 47 is making segregation for federal contractors legal. And hopefully you guys know that this is bait. They want us to be mad and upset. They want to get us worked up. He is definitely trying to put us in situations where we may have to actually show out. He's definitely reaching and trying. For some strange reason, this man cannot get us out of his mind. He goes to sleep thinking about us and wakes up thinking about us. Does this man ever sleep? Trying to do everything he can to get us out in those streets. And we're not going. And for any of the companies or businesses that's thinking about actually segregating, hopefully you guys are paying attention to what has happened to Target. We did that. We did not have to leave the comfort and safety of our homes to boycott Target. Continue to stay at home, learning new line dances, new skills, and watching Tubi. So don't take the bait. Stay at home. Stay at home.
Oh, y'all. So BB Judy made this post about how DI being taken out of, all of these different stores is about to start affecting her business and a lot of black businesses, because like places like Target and Walmart will start slowly sort of siphoning out multicultural aisles. And it made me think about something. I was listening to a live one day, and this guy was talking about how, the black community chose to, integrate, and the reason why we don't have a lot of black businesses and black, mom and pop stores or places where, black people can go to shop for these very black things or, black owned things is because, we chose differently. And he was under the impression that, we had, bus terminals or bus stations, and we had our own transportation. And I think a lot of people think that when we were segregated, that there was like a black side of town that was thriving and growing and doing all these things, and then there was a white side of town that was thriving and growing and doing all these things. Except that isn't true. The truth of the matter is that not only were black people segregated, but they were also subjugated, which means that anytime we owned something, anytime we had something, if it was of quality, usually it was burned down, it was destroyed, or people would come into our communities and, utilize those services at their free will, or, intimidate the owners at their free will, or intimidate the citizens at their free will. That's the biggest part that people always skip over when they talk about like Tulsa, or if they talk about MOVE, or if they talk about, Black Wall Street, all of these different things. And I think that we're at the point now where we're about to find out historically how not only were black people barred from being able to go into white neighborhoods, they were barred from being able to succeed, period.
Screen recording this to make sure I have proof when I show people there were idiots really rooting for this. First of all, he already overturned the clause. Second of all, you're an idiot. Watch your mouth. Just because people have a difference in opinion or have a different perspective doesn't mean that you get to name call. And this is what's wrong with y'all. Y'all are so fucking indoctrinated, and y'all are all sheep who nobody thinks for themselves anymore. It's okay to have a different perspective on things. Did I say that I want us to, completely be, I said separate but equal. If we were forced to create our own, I believe that we would flourish. What's wrong with that? What is wrong with believing in ourselves? We did it once before. If we were left alone to our own devices, which I do not believe is actually going to happen because we are such a huge staple in this economy, our dollars spin green like everybody else's. People want to be a part of our culture. I don't believe that we're just completely going to be completely separate. I don't believe that's going to happen. And I saw somebody saying that he's talking, it's not going to happen on a federal level. I got to do more research. But from what we know, that clause has already been overturned, companies don't have to explicitly not segregate. If we had to, why do y'all think we're gonna fail? And it's not about rooting for anything. I'm rooting for us. I'm rooting for black people. And it's sad that y'all really don't believe in us. We did it before. I believe in us. If we didn't have a choice, if sink or swim, we're gonna swim. You fucking idiot.
So did y'all hear that Trump is trying to bring back segregation? They're literally trying to do everything in their power to get black people to crash the fuck out. But we ain't going. Do you understand? Y'all remember when y'all mama used to whoop y'all and she used to say, oh, this gonna hurt me more than it's gonna hurt you. Yeah. This is gonna hurt these YT people that are so hell bent on goddamn being racist more than it's gonna hurt the black and brown community. You understand? Because do you understand how much money that black people alone, African American people alone, bring into the economy? Alright. If you didn't, you finna fuck around and find out now. Because he literally is trying to allow federally contracted companies to allow segregated areas. That means places like restaurants, waiting rooms, doctor's offices, shit. It's something simple as a damn water fountain. They literally want us to get out on the street and protest so they can go ahead and roll in this martial law. But we ain't going for that shit. You understand? We are the 92%. Fuck them. We have more important shit to worry about. Martin Luther King literally fucked us up as a community by trying to coexist with these people who never wanted us here in the first place. All they wanted was free labor. All because he wanted to be with a white woman. Be fucking for real. Hey, I say go ahead and segregate this shit. Go ahead and segregate it. Do it. Because all I'm knowing is y'all finna fuck around and find out. That's it. And I feel bad. Nah, hell no. I don't feel bad for the people who be like, y'all know the people that be like, oh, if it ain't snowing, it ain't gone. I ain't going. Hey, how you gonna feel, bitch? How you gonna feel that you can't be around your precious white woman, huh? I'm just wondering what the repercussions gonna be, what the consequences gonna be when it's actually rolled the fuck out for real. Because there's so many, especially black men, that's hell bent on being with a white woman. What y'all gonna do? What y'all gonna do, baby? Because your ass ain't welcome back over here. And hey, all I'm saying is don't stop at the areas. Everything, segregate everything. You hear me?